Good morning. I'm Cheryl Belair, and I'm here with some friends from Keene Elm City Rotary Club and the Community Kitchen. We're here today to talk a little bit about what the Keene Elm City Rotary Club does with the Keene Community Kitchen, as well as some of the other projects that the Keene Elm City Rotary Club is involved in. For those who don't know, Keene Elm City Rotary is a community service organization right here in Keene. Our main mission is to support children and families and their well-being. So I'm going to go ahead and just jump in and introduce some of my friends. Erin Heffernan is here with us. She's also a member of the Community Kitchen, of the Elm City Rotary Club, and a former board member of the Keene Community Kitchen. Beth Truman's here with us today. She's a member of the Keene Elm City Rotary Club. Joe Wallier is a local business owner of Wallier Chevrolet and a member of the Keene Elm City Rotary Club. And we are very happy to have Phoebe Bray here, the Executive Director of the Keene Community Kitchen. So thank you everybody for joining us this morning. I'm going to jump right in and ask Ann to talk a little bit today about the collaboration between the Community Kitchen and the Keene Elm City Rotary Club and how we're working with them.
So we have, as an organization, worked with the Community Kitchen going past 10 years back, delivering food boxes for the holidays, where we gather boxes and deliver them to people who are not able to come and pick up food that they can use all week long. And then starting roughly 8 years ago, because many of us were volunteering at the Community Kitchen anyway, we started volunteering once a month, and all of our Rotarians participate in that and come once a month and do a hot meals program, which we find very gratifying because we see a lot of what happens in the community and how things have changed over the years. But we do that, and we still do the Thanksgiving boxes in November every year. And then there's a number of our Rotarians that actually do other things as well. We have a couple of people, then you can correct me if I'm wrong about this, that do pantry every week. Mm-hmm. Retired people that do that.
Dick does that.
Yeah. So we have a pretty strong connection throughout the ranks in many different capacities, board members, past board members, activities that you do, special events that you do. We tend to have a hand in a lot of what happens at the kitchen, in a good way.
In a good way. I will say that one of my first service projects when I became a Rotarian was box delivery. So it was either Thanksgiving or Christmas, and I will say that continues to probably be my favorite project, partially because as a child growing up, that was how we ate Thanksgiving and Christmas dinner, was we received a box. And it was, I will say, being the recipient was completely exciting. Mm-hmm. You know, I got home from school, my parents were working, and the box would be on the porch, and I'd drag it in and start fishing through to see what we were having for Christmas or Thanksgiving, or even then in Manchester, Easter dinner. So I am very honored to be able to now in turn that around and be delivering those boxes. It truly means a lot to me, and I think a lot of the folks that are doing it, it means a lot to them.
I think actually in terms of volunteering for that one activity, that's our highest, quickest turnout of volunteers from Rotary.
Is for box delivery.
Right.
And you were on the board, correct?
I did.
For
2 terms.
For 2 terms.
Yeah, through the chaos. And then we were fortunate enough to land Phoebe as the director, who really turned things around in a huge way, from being basically fiscally insolvent to fiscally solvent, and having a really strong group of employees who are very loyal to you.
They are.
And you've built some really strong relationships out in the community, which didn't really exist or had been, I think, in my opinion, damaged in a lot of ways. So I watched it go from terror board meetings to joyous board meetings in my time.
That's great. So Phoebe, let's have you just talk a little bit, or a lot, maybe, about the Keene Community Kitchen, the impact that the kitchen is having on our community, the changes that you've seen over the years, and what you see for the future.
I think I'm always surprised when I go out and speak to groups that some people don't even know what we do, which, given that this is our 35th year of existence, which is sad in and of itself, But we have two main programs, the hot meals. We serve a dinner Monday through Friday and a lunch on Sunday. And I was at dinner last night, and all the staff who work at the kitchen, a lot of them work in restaurants or have worked, and they said, oh my goodness, we only served 71 people. We served 71 people last night, which should shock everybody.
It should shock everybody.
And, well, you can take one off because I was there. So, I keep on saying low is good. If we only serve 45 people, that means that they're the core that don't have an alternative.
And the people that we're talking about are not, we're talking a lot of families. I mean, I know that
We had a whole table in last night, and there were 4 kids and 1 adult, and it's actually the way we serve it. It's like en famille, so you can sit at any table. But there was an elderly gentleman, and he's like a pseudo grandparent to the kids, and it's really nice. But they can eat what they want, or we were short on volunteers last night, but the meal was simple to deliver. But we try very hard to keep it a safe place for people to come. We have had a few difficulties, but the Keene Police Department are an amazing resource, and some of their officers will just come in. Some come and eat dinner, but some just come and do a walkthrough, and it should be a safe place for people to eat. The pantry clientele they're a different clientele. And again, people say, oh, how can we have so many homeless people in Keene? We don't. Our pantry clientele are about 23 or 24% of them are seniors who have found themselves, after a lifetime of working, trying to survive on Social Security alone for the most part. And, you hear stories. They don't let me register very often because I'm a chat. I mean, I will talk to anybody. And, you hear stories of people who have worked in retail all their lives and paid into what they thought was a pension, and they're getting $23 a month from their pension. Oh. And so, it's not abnormal to have people come in and they've got $1,100 Social Security, and that's it.
Right.
And, there was a lovely gentleman he's a World War II veteran, and he retired at 62, which I think is unheard of these days. But it was fairly normal going back a couple of decades. Sure. Oh, he had $38,000 in his savings account.
I'm sure that seemed
and
like...
in the late 80s, early 90s, that was a lot of money. Yep. And that went with his wife's, his wife sadly got ill. So he has no savings, and he's on Social Security alone. But he's very resourceful, and he's in subsidized housing. So he actually has a very stable home, and he comes to us. He's actually learnt how to cook through some of our cooking classes. Mm-hmm. But it's not the homeless. The greater percentage of our clients are the working poor of Cheshire County, right, who are, struggling with their hours being cut. A lot of them work only part-time jobs now. So it's a fascinating place.
And the pantry allows them to come in on a weekly basis?
On a weekly basis. They are all financially qualified. And we use the USDA financial guidelines, which is calculated at 185% of the federal poverty level, at which nobody can live. They say a family of 4 can live on approximately $24,000 a year, which if you're paying rent in Keene, I don't know how you would do that.
I don't know how you would do that either.
So a lot of people qualify with room to spare. And what we are trying to do is make, I went to a conference, and they were saying that really what we should be doing is quality over quantity. So we're trying to change the quality of the food that we offer. Now, we rely an awful lot on donated food, right, but the food industry is actually responding to pressure from the public. So you'll find that, sodium levels have gone down in prepared food. Trans fat has been outlawed in most states. So you can buy pretty good stuff. And we are blessed to be located where we are. We have the support of the community. Our driver goes out and picks up from supermarkets and restaurants every single day. So we get donations from Hannaford's, Price Chopper, Monadnock Food Co-op, Starbucks, Walmart, Target.
Wow.
So it really is a community effort.
That's great. And the donations that you receive are used for both. They're used for the meal service as well as the pantry piece.
Yes, the people who cook the meals, you'll see them come out when the van comes back, and they come out and they literally go through the boxes. And we have a team of volunteers who were waiting for Nick to come back this morning. And Matt, who is cooking the evening meal, he needs lettuces, he needs to make a salad, he wants to make a fruit salad, and he's looking for enough either cauliflower or broccoli to do a vegetable. So they go through the boxes and they'll put it aside for the hot meals, and the produce that's brought in is sorted, and if it's going to, we have pantry tomorrow and Thursday, so that doesn't have to last very long, but if it's not good enough, then we have a pig farmer that comes up and picks up the clean waste.
Great. That's
so
great.
Hardly any of the food goes into the dumpster.
That's great.
That's good.
Beth, maybe you can tell us a little bit about your involvement with the kitchen and why you volunteer with the kitchen.
Sure. Early in my 20s, I had a baby, my oldest son, Taylor, who's now 15 and a half. And he was born very early, and he was very premature and had some issues. I had to leave work early, so my income was cut. In addition, his father was very sick. He had cancer. He ended up passing away. So that time in my life was very difficult financially, between medical bills and Frank not working and me not being able to work to take care of the baby. And we relied on some resources to get us through Southwestern Community Services, through WIC, through fuel assistance, Keene Daycare, things like that. And so when I started to come out of this and got myself back on my own 2 feet, it became very important to me to be able to volunteer and give back. So one of the places that I do that is the community kitchen. And I love volunteering at the community kitchen because I bring the children with me, so they can see how we got to where we are, and they can see how important it is. The kids have been coming for a number of years now and volunteering.
I've served several times, and the kids have been there.
Yes.
And they love it. Yeah. And they love seeing Joe there. They love seeing Cheryl there. They love seeing Ann and Phoebe. Like, they're their friends. So I never have to argue with them. It's never a thing like, we're going to go volunteer today. Oh, do we have to? It's never that. It's
Right.
okay. This is what we do.
Yeah.
And in addition, now sometimes they see their friends in there. And so we get to have important conversations about, these are the boundaries and this doesn't leave here,
Right.
and you need to be respectful. But you also need to realize it gives them a broader perspective on what they have, what they're able to do, and what their friends' lives are actually like.
Right.
It just gives them a viewpoint that is outside of their friend's home or outside of school. So it's important to me to involve them in those things, and they have now made friends there. So Christopher, the baby, my youngest, who just turned 11 on
The
Friday.
baby.
The baby. Still, he'll forever be the baby. It doesn't matter how old
Right.
he becomes, but he's made friends there. So he sees his friends come through the line. He goes through the line right after them, and they sit and eat dinner together, which
That's
is
great.
lovely. That's really heartwarming to me, and that's what it's all about. It's so important. And they're learning their civic responsibility and
Well,
duty.
that's what I was just going to say, is it's passing along the knowledge of civic responsibility and duty and how you give back
Right.
to a community that is taking care of you, quite
Right.
frankly.
And could just as easily be you in
And
some
it could
cases.
just as easily
and has
be you.
been your
Right.
mother. So
Right.
Exactly. Phoebe, maybe you could give us a few more statistics about the kitchen and where you see the kitchen going in the future.
Well, I've just closed out the numbers for 2017, and it was actually quite encouraging. We were a little bit down in the pantry, 2017 over 2016. And it's not much. We had, we register everybody at the pantry program.
Yep.
So we had, for 2016, I think we had 2,951 people registered. And for 2017, it was 2,800 and change. So it was it's about 60 people down, which is going in the right direction.
Right.
And Hot Meals was we served in 2016 25,009 meals through Hot Meals. In 2017, it was 22,500 and change. So now, if that might just be a little dip, But it is going in the right direction. And I think part of it is that you can't walk down Main Street without seeing help wanted signs. And so I think some of our clientele have maybe picked up a second job. And that is, obviously helping. But we've also, I think some of our numbers are dropping because we've stepped up our help for other pantries in Cheshire County. We've always acted as like a pseudo wholesaler.
Okay.
And we actually had a fairly large donation just for the holiday pantries. So we were able to send out an $800 check, depending on their numbers. The pantries either got an $800 check or a $1,000 check. So if you're serving 75 people a week in the Ringe Food Pantry, that $800 would have helped quite a lot. So by being able to do that, maybe somebody, you're not going to drive from Ringe to Keene to eat a dinner, but you might come for the pantry. So by them being able to stay at home, they don't use their car, they don't use their gas money, and that's one way that I think we're seeing our numbers drop. And the best day in the world will be when we open the pantry door and there won't be anybody.
There's nobody.
Yeah. And then, you talk about Southwestern. We love the fact that we, the safety net social service agencies are a very tight-knit community. And we had a social worker call from one of the school districts, and she had come across a child in the school who was really not having a good day. And when they sat her down and said, what's going on, the family vehicle had broken down. So they were having enormous pressures, and they had no food in the house. So she had come to the school with no breakfast. Her free and reduced meal program hasn't been set up properly. And so the school social worker did what she would always do. She called us, and then she came and picked up the food and then delivered it, which is phenomenal.
That is amazing.
It's nice that we, sadly we know her by her first name, but that's how it should work.
Right.
So, and I don't think we're a judgmental agency. Everybody who comes in is, treated with respect. I always say to the staff, the first question out of your mouth to anybody is, how can I help you? Which is, I think, I have a great crew. They are phenomenal people, so skilled and so kind, and they work so hard. So it's, until we are no longer needed, then we will be there.
That's great.
Yes.
That's great, and that's quite a story. And there are so many out there like that.
Right.
Kids. Bottom line is, kids should not be hungry.
Right.
They should not be hungry.
But they make up almost a quarter of our clientele, but they don't have any say in their life.
Right.
I mean, a 6-year-old has no say in the choices her parents are making, and sometimes the choices are not good, but sometimes it's life that chucks you a snowball with a rock in it. And most of the parents who come through, there was a mum who went through last week, and she had her little girl, and one of our staff members overheard the little girl saying, "Why do we have to come here for food?" And the mum turned to her and she said, "They give us food for free. That's why we're here." And you don't come to a food pantry for fun.
Right.
But she has children, and she's going to feed them.
And that's how she's going to feed them.
Yeah.
And thank goodness there's that option.
Exactly.
Thank goodness there's that option. Thank
Yeah.
you. Joe, you've been serving at the kitchen for a long time now.
I have.
And you serve more than just during our Rotary time. You are there a lot.
I do. I try to do it whenever I can. Primarily, though, my responsibility is the schedule that Rotary has. I enjoy doing it. I think we're taking care of people that have no one to take care of them, basically, is the bottom line. And I really feel good about it, that you see the nice smiles on their face when they do come through and are served a nice meal. And, you see a lot of people that you might see every day, and I do see some of them, and you just sort of acknowledge them and make them feel comfortable that they're coming through, not why they're there. I don't really want to know, but
Right.
I want to make sure that they feel comfortable and happy, and I love the families, the children, and I love seeing Beth when she brings her children there. Those kids seeing things that, they're lucky they're on that side of the of the counter, as
Yes,
they say. But,
exactly.
and then I do the boxes. I love to do the Thanksgiving boxes, which we do right before Thanksgiving. We deliver those, and that's gratifying to go to take them to people's homes. Those people can't get out for whatever reason, and you know, the community kitchen is there to provide that. We as Rotarians are there to get it there. And how many? We deliver a lot, because there's always a team of,
I think
people.
last year it was 78 boxes you took out.
wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they're full. I mean,
They
they're
are
heavy.
full.
They're
It's
heavy
a-
boxes.
They are.
And the weather is always horrible. It
Yeah.
can be.
Yeah.
It is
It's
always horrible. I have never seen anything like
it's
it.
guaranteed that if there's
Every
going to be
year.
an ice storm, it's going to be on that day.
And I must say, in those boxes, that is whoever is the one that makes the decision of what's
It's
in
Megan,
there
our pantry
makes
manager. She
it
does a phenomenal
so
job.
nice for those families.
Right.
You know, they get that. They get a turkey and they get all the fixings.
It's a full
It's-
Thanksgiving meal.
It really is.
And then some.
And then
some.
And then
Yeah.
some. Usually
Exactly.
there's food in there for breakfast, and
Yep.
there's, I mean, and there's always fruit. There's always vegetables. I've been lucky enough that now my son Ryan, who's 31, is now delivering the boxes with me.
Yep.
Now, there's two good things about that. One, guess who's carrying the boxes?
Right.
Yes. But again, he's seeing the other side of it. You know, and when I say to him, I can remember these boxes being delivered for me at home, until he started delivering with me, it was very hard for him to envision that, because that wasn't the life he saw, you know.
Right.
So I think that he now is very involved and enjoys the community service aspect of Keene Elm City Rotary. But I think some of that comes from doing things like serving at the kitchen and doing the box delivery.
One thing that we didn't touch on that people have asked me that know that I do it, and they've always commented that, well, can anyone go there? And am I right? My always response is, if they can get there, the door is always open. Nobody is standing there taking their name and making sure they're eligible.
For dinner?
For dinner.
Oh,
Am I
it's
right?
a free and open meal for everybody.
Yep.
We have some people who come in who just don't want to eat dinner on their own.
They pay.
And we had one gentleman who sadly he no longer can come, but he used to put a quarter
Ah.
in the bottle every evening. But he had breakfast on his own, he had lunch on his own, and if he could get down to the kitchen, he didn't want to have dinner on his own.
There are
So-
regulars that come that put $5 or more
Yeah.
in the jug every night because they want to have the companionship.
Right.
Yeah, there
Which
was a-
is so
talk about
important.
a man leaving thing. I remember there was a man, I haven't seen him in a long time, but I'd always offer to take his tray because I think he had a cane with him, but he'd say, no, I'm fine, and he'd always give me a candy. And I don't know who it was, I don't know his name.
You took candy from strangers?
I did, because he meant it.
So Phoebe, I'm gonna let you kind of wrap up. We've got probably about 3 minutes left, and I'm sure there's so much more you can talk about. So I'm gonna give the floor to you, and maybe talk a little bit about where some of the funds come from and what you see down the road.
Well, 2018 is going to be a very interesting year. Last year we were awarded through the City of Keene a block grant. Our building is nearly 200 years old, and we own it, thank goodness, lock, stock, and every wobbly brick. And we've been in the building we've been operating out of the building 20 years now. And there are some major renovations that need to be done. And we were so excited because there was nowhere else to go and get the money. I mean, nobody's going to, and no financial institution should lend us $500,000 because I would never be able to pay it back. So getting a block grant, we're going to put in, and we're so excited, we can actually buy new equipment. So we never have new equipment. And so we're going to put in 2 new walk-in freezers, walk-in cooler, and the new walk-in cooler is going to be on the ground floor. So when the gleaning person brings in a pallet, or we had once 800 pounds of lettuce delivered, it can go in the cooler. It's going to be, they're going to have pallet doors, and we're just going to be it's going to make the work so much easier for the staff. Where we get the funding from is everywhere. I apply to every city, well, the City of Keene and every town in Cheshire County. We have fundraising events. We have an amazing core of individuals who live in Cheshire County and further, who send us their checks, some every month. And for instance, we got a letter one time from a gentleman. He wanted to give us $30, and he wanted to ask us if we would like take it in 5 monthly increments or 6 monthly increments.
That's great.
And we said 6, so every month he sent his $5 check in, and that's the support we have. It's incredible. You know, we have kids who have birthday parties. Sophie's birthday party, she had all her friends bring gently used shoes. So we had, you know, boots and sandals, and we have kids who.
She was so proud of herself for that too.
Right.
She said there's a picture of her, and she's surrounded by shoes, and she's so excited to donate them to the community kitchen. And actually, one of her other favorite fundraisers was the chairs.
Oh.
When we put so
Oh,
she's got a
right.
chair there with her name
in
on
honor
it.
of
That
Sophia's
was
a
8th
great
birthday.
idea.
in honor of Sophia's 8th birthday.
Yes.
And she finds it every time.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so it's, you know, our budget is $600,000 a year, but when you think last year we gave out nearly 450,000 meal equivalents,
Right.
I think we're doing it in an economical and fair way. And we give out the best food we can to the people who need it the most.
Well, I will say, watching what you do, I am in awe, and I'm extremely thankful that we have the community kitchen here in Keene, and that you're helping the surrounding towns as well. I just want to take this time to, it's amazing, but our time is up, believe it or not. So I just want to thank everybody for joining me. Phoebe, thank you so much for
Thank you for asking
informing
me.
everybody about what the kitchen is doing. You guys are amazing. I'm honored to be an Elm City Rotary Rotarian with
Thank
all
you.
of you. And if anybody would like to find out more about Keene Elm City Rotary, please feel free to go to our website, which is elmcityrotary.org. Thank you again.